Peace.
Peace.
This is Mallah, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real to Real 360. KYs.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real to Real 360 show. Let's get it in.
We do the knowledge of wisdom so you can understand. Real to Real 360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to born. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy your show. Peace.
Peace and blessings. What's going on? It's the God DJ KY Zala, aka Kato, the Black Superhero. Welcome you again to another exciting episode of the Real to Real 360 show. We hope that everybody's listening under the sound of my voice is in great health and in good thoughts. And without being further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, my brother in God. But we're rightly saying peace to Allah's 5%, to the nation of gods and earths, to all the human families of the planet Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, my brother, Mallah, a.k.a. Mr. PhD himself. Peace to the God.
Peace, 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 peace to Allah's 5%. Peace to the nation of gods and earths. Peace to all the followers and listeners. Everyone who is in the sound of my voice at this moment in time. Today, we're going to have a great show. We have one of our righteous brothers on the show today. He's an author, publisher, a speaker, community stakeholder, social justice advocate, leadership and development consultant. Also, he's a reentry tactician. He's one of the individuals who are invested in building with individuals when they first come home to help them try to foster a new mentality when they come into the communities. At this moment in time, I want to say peace and welcome our righteous brother, Mallah Divine.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the God. How you, man?
Peace to the gods. Peace. I'm great, man. I'd like to take time out to thank y'all for allowing me to share space with y'all. I'm very honored and blessed.
Yeah, definitely. It's been like we've been building on it like a few times about you coming on, and want to make sure that when you came on, we gave you the platform to speak to what you actually do. You know what I'm saying? And didn't want to mention no words, anything else, because you have so many things that you are involved in. Just give the people a brief synopsis of what Mallah Divine does on a daily basis.
On a daily basis, professionally, I'm a reentry coordinator. I work with juveniles in secure detention. I also I manage a few of the organizational partners that we have. I write daily. I work out, and I stay heavenly.
Indeed. I wanted to speak to you being an author. When did you start writing books?
Actually, I started writing just before I made parole. When I was inside, we helped facilitate a creative writing workshop for we can actually, learn the process of writing as well as teach other people writing. Because like my last few years in prison, I was a teacher's aide. So I convinced the teacher to sponsor us in a creative writing workshop. So, that's when I started writing. So I actually had the manuscript for my first book. I was writing it. And then I made parole. Like, I didn't think I was going to make parole. I didn't think I was going to come home until like around 2025 or 2028. But I made parole in 2014. So when I made parole, I had to I finished writing it in there. Then when I came home in 2014, September 10th, I had to buy me a laptop. I had to familiarize myself with the technology. And that's when I typed it up and then I pushed it. So the first book actually I started writing in 2014.
Now you speak about the stint of being away for a little while. How is it now that going from being an at-risk youth to a reentry tactician? How much of that is therapy and fulfilling for you?
Since I work with youth, right, it's very, very fulfilling, especially when you know that they start to get what you're saying. Unfortunate, a lot of the youth I'm working with, they looking at 10, 15 years. So they're not coming home at the moment. But when you talk about reentry starts right when you get locked up, because you should be thinking about how you're going to do your time and how you know, to be successful throughout your bid. So, you know, it's definitely rewarding. And like one of the facilities I go into, one of the counselor, they had bought like 14 of my memoir. My memoir is called Prison Survival Hell's Prison. So that's circulating around the building. So when I do pull up and I start talking to them, they realize that I'm the author of that book, because a lot of them didn't know my name or they forget my name because they're young. So it's like maybe a few weeks ago, one of the young fellas was like, he looked me dead in my eyes. He was like, yo, how do you feel that you know your book have an impact on people? Kind of stumped me because I wasn't expecting that question, you know, and I was like, you know, and he was like, yo, I could relate to your story, man. I feel like that's me in that book that you was talking about. And unfortunately, he got 2 murder charges. So, you know, he ain't coming home no time soon. So, and it's like, you know, and knowing and understanding that he's like, yo, I'm gonna take certain aspects of your book to change how I walk while I do my time. And I think that was inspirational right there.
That's peace.
What made you want to go into, you know what I'm saying, being a reentry tactician? For the most part, knowing that, you know what I'm saying, you just come home and you just finished doing a bid or whatever the case may be. What made you want to involve yourself with individuals who are trying to come home?
Actually, I've been home 7.5 years now. So, you know what I mean? I've been home quite a minute now. So when I went back to school for technology, I have a bachelor's degree in technology and computer systems. So when I graduated, it was at the height of Corona. So a lot of things shut down. So I was like, you know, I got too much experience in the social justice field. So when I started applying, I wanted to apply the things that I felt that, you know, could be impactful. Because sometimes you can have a plan about where you want to go, but the universe will put you where you need it. So that's where I was needed, because had I not been in this position right now, I wouldn't understand a certain demographic youth mentality of the day. Because let's be realistic, I work with gang members. I work with young gang members. So, and I didn't really understand the way that they embraced the gang ideology, because we all had crews when we come up. So we're not gonna play like we wasn't part of crews and all that. But we didn't have that gang mentality, because most of us outgrew it one stage or another. What I'm learning is that with the younger generation, especially with social media, it's a real culture to them. So it's like gang is the new religion to them. So you can't go in there with the mentality like, yo, you should stop being in a gang and stuff like that, because they're going to reject you outright. But when you understand where they're coming from and say, you know what, I don't really care that you in a gang, because I really don't. But I do care how you think. I do care about you putting yourself in the best position. And I know that as you put yourself in the best position, the street stuff you're going to lessen doing anyway, you know, so because you're going to start to learn how to critical think. And like, you know, and I've realized that their concept of honor, loyalty, and respect is just as perverted as mine was when I was their age, you know. So I understand where they're coming from. So like I tell one of my co-workers, she go in with me and stuff, I say, you know what we do? I said, we do magic, yo, because it's no hard skills that you can train or obtain to do the work that we do. Like, you know, my hard skill sets is in tech. Reentry, it just come natural to me. connecting with these young people. And I think that that's where I'm supposed to be at this time, working with them young people in that condition.
Peace, God. Let me add on right quick. Much blessings to you, and I'm getting hit bombarded with many of our fans. I appreciate y'all hitting me up with the questions, and a lot of them are saying peace to you. They loving the fact that they finally get to see the man behind the book. So big up to all our fans that's listening and chiming in. We thank you so much, and please continue to post what you want to post so we can, if you got questions for the God at the time, go ahead and put it out, and I'll post it up, and we can answer them as best as possible. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Also, too, with being a motivating speaker or an individual that come and speak to the youth in the community, how did you get involved with being a public speaker?
I think that happened organically, by I've been working in this space probably since 2015. So from being asked to be on panels, then also like participating in stuff like Close Rikers Island, and as well as the Million Prisoners Human Rights March a few years ago, and as well as dealing with our brother that recently passed, Kendu Majestic, from the desert. So, I used to work with him a lot with The Struggle Is Real. And if you look at the last book I put out, it was a book of poems, and I named it The Struggle Is Real, and I dedicated it to him. And the reason I did that is because he always talk about, yo, I want to put a poem book out. I said, yo, because he was a poet. So I said, when you ready, just let me know, and we'll get to it. So, but sometimes time always don't favor us. So I had a lot of poems just sitting on one of my hard drive. I said, yo, let me put this book of poem out and dedicate it to him, to honor him, because he didn't have a chance to do it.
That was beautiful. That's beautiful. And may peace be upon our righteous brother Majestic Kendu out the desert. Words can't really express the loss that we felt, when he returned to the essence, because it was a shock to all of us. Just want to say that when it comes down to the work that you're doing and the growth and the terrific speed of it all, because just like you said, you've been home 7.5 years, and the impact that you have made in a short, minute period of time for being back home is phenomenal, to say the least. Writing books, public speaking. Can you speak toward the community advocacy part, activist part of everything?
So advocacy, I don't really like the word activist, because I don't get paid to do, I volunteer my time. Just like recently, I was in Albany a few weeks ago, because it's a bill that they're trying to get passed called the Clean Slate Act. And the gist of the bill is that if right now it's a lot of stuff going on in the budgetary committee. The governor, I don't think she's going to be, once she finished Cuomo term, I don't think she's going to be there. But the Clean Slate Act is basically, if it passed, you would automatically, if you've been home a certain length of time, your records will automatically be sealed. And the reason why that's valuable is because a lot of people don't know, especially people that's never been incarcerated or have felonies, that some of these felons, it stop you from acquiring certain apartments, it stop you from acquiring certain licenses, and it hinders you. And most people that have been home a certain length of time has really assimilated back into society. So why is they being held up? Like, it was an older gentleman, he spoke at the they had a rally before we went around to the different political people, the lobby, because I lobbied as well. And this older gentleman was like, yo, I caught a charge at 17. I've been home, like he literally been home probably over 40 years. And when he tried to get, when he was saying that when he was going for apartments, him and his family, he got turned down 40 times. So that's 40 different applications that a person probably put in as well too. So, that's a lot of bread. And I'm looking at this older gentleman, because I spoke with him afterwards. I was like, and it's crazy because I went through a similar experience last year, and I couldn't understand, why mom keep being denied when I know my credit score was this, I know I have the resources to pay my rent, then I was like, let me see the file that y'all using. And because anytime they run a credit check on you, you can request the file if you deny for anything. And I think that they had that I was on parole even though I wasn't on parole, I was on parole for murder. So I said, okay, this is the reason. But that shouldn't hinder me. I caught that charge actually was caught when I was 19 years old. I'm 47 now. So it's like, so I was 46 at the time looking for apartments. So I'm like, this is crazy. So and I was like, we got to be more proactive because we are being hindered. We are being like it's like a scarlet letter, or like during the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust, when they made them wear the yellow star on their arm, and it's like should have went to prison for something I did when I was younger because I thought different. Should that still be affecting me now as a 47-year-old man? Mm-hmm. So that's why, like, I advocate. And then like the closed Rikers Island, I got involved with that when it was in the first stage, because I was going to BMCC at the time, and I was doing a workshop because I was also working with the Millions in Prison Human Rights March, which was a national march that took place in DC. So, and I got into that by humble, like, somebody liked the way I write, and he was like, would you want to be a part of this? I was like, sure. And at the time, I couldn't be home for no more than 2 years. So I was given a demonstration at BMCC. They got this program called UMALA. UMALA is under the Black Male Initiative. So I was given a build on the 13th Amendment, and then they came and gave a build on the closed Rikers Island, and I wound up speaking to them because I'm like, I'm doing something already nationally, but here it is. This is my home city, and I ain't doing nothing. So that's how I became a part of that. Everything I became a part of in the beginning was like a humble. One thing led to another.
For itself. Right now we got a question from one of our fans out here, Best Music Empire. The question is, what did you go to college for, and will you work in that field in the future, and what are your plans? I know you previously answered some of it. So
I went to college for technology. So I got associates in computer network technology. I got a bachelor in computer systems. Eventually, that's my goal, to get into tech, because I have another idea after that I want to do with inside of the social justice space that I feel like is elements that's missing. So yeah, eventually I will.
Now I have a question for you, Lord. Since they raised the age of adolescence from 16, I think it's 17 now, where they can go 17?
16, 17, they go to, okay. What do I think about that? Or
no, I was going to say, what do you think about them changing the age from 16 to 17?
To 18.
To 18.
Well, I think that when you look at, it's a study that came out, one job when I was working an ATI program, when they onboarded me, they gave me these videos to look at and a whole bunch of articles to read. So one video, it was a lady, I forgot her name, but she was doing a TED talk, but she was talking about how people brains don't develop until they're 25.
Right.
And when you look at how like a lot of these programs, ATI programs, reentry programs, that's geared towards youth, it's 24 and under. Mm-hmm. So they know that a person's brain is not developed. So I think on that aspect it's cool, but I think that when they put them under ACS, I don't think that ACS probably was the right organization, because I think that those youth are different than the youth that ACS would normally work with, because let's be realistic, these youth is out of control. Like it be out of control. So I'll be like, I'm like, not saying that they need a firmer hand, but I think that I think a youth, like a youth organization should have been created to deal with those youth. Period. Like I don't think, because I think that ACS has a certain mentality, like you know what I mean, and they, a lot of people. I met a lot of like where I go in is ACS facilities, and a lot of good people work there. A lot of good people work there, but I don't really think that they understand those youth mentality, and the things that those youth might need, because sometimes, man, like they get a little out of control. Like, and I know at 17, I was on Rikers Island, and a lot of stuff that I seen on Rikers Island from what the COs was doing to people and stuff like that, like brutalizing and stuff like that. So I understand why taking them off Rikers Island, because no young person should be brutalized by anybody in authority. So it's like, to me, it's like it's a mixed feeling, like cause I'm like sometimes they might need a little firmer hand, because if not, they're going to come right back, because they're going to think that, this a game. I can do that. I can jail, but you're not really jailing. You're not really, you don't even know what jailing is, like, and I think that that's the disservice aspect. But as far as the services that ACS provide, the care that ACS provide, I think that's needed. So I think it should have been a combination of both. But I ain't in a position of policy, so, and you know how that goes.
Right. And reason why I asked that, because I work in the same field, like similar with you, as working with the youth in facilities. But also too, another question that I have is, how do you feel about individuals who already have touched the jail system, the adult jail system, whether it's Rikers Island, Nassau County, Suffolk County, Yonkers, Westchester County? How do you feel that if they already done touched the adult system, then to pull them out and put them in a juvenile facility, how do you feel of their influences on the individuals that are in the juvenile facility?
I can't say, because I haven't seen it, but what I have seen, and it's unfortunate, I don't know if it was because of Corona, that I know that some of them young fellas been sitting in them facilities for like 2-3 years. So they like 19 and 20. And and I'm like, when I talk to some of them, I'm like, how long you been sitting in what? It's like, it's kind of a shock. So I think that the fact that they're older, once they become a certain age, I don't think that they should be mixing, because you might have youth as young as 13, 14, and 15 there. And you got grown men, well, young adults. So it's like, I don't know, like I said, I don't go on a hall, so I can't say day to day. So I don't know if they bullying them and all that. I can't speak to that, But
I wasn't saying for us bullying them.
Oh.
At 16 years old, I was in Nassau County, right? And what I learned in Nassau County, and then, a stint on the island, what have you, and then eventually going up north, if they would have ever put me in a juvenile facility, the things that I was doing in the county and in Rikers, far as, what I was doing in there to jail, I would have turned that same energy on in the juvenile facility.
I got you. I feel I haven't seen incidents like that, because I haven't seen anybody that touched Rikers Island in the juvenile facility, because it can happen, because if they caught a case when they were 16 and 17, and we just got caught up with them, no matter age, they're gonna put them in that juvenile facility.
Right.
But I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to what I haven't seen.
Indeed, respect that. Now, when I was coming up, they had a thing called youthful offender, which sealed your record when your first time, going through or whatever, and nonviolent crime. Do they still apply the same banner as youthful offender, where your records is sealed?
Yes, you can still get a YO. You still can get a YO, one, but most of them already used a YO. I be talking to young dudes. They be like, "Yo, I've been locked up 5 times," and I be like, "Evidently, you're not really a successful criminal, right? So it's time for you to hang it up. Like, is this not going your way? You know what I mean?" But yeah. So, and it's just like they just caught up. Like, they caught up because, like, I was talking to one young fella. I was like, yo, he was like, yo, he do the drill music. So I like told he feeling like he got to stay in the game because he do drill music, so he can have material to talk about. So I'd be like, yo, you know that they locking up, they listening to y'all music and they locking y'all up, right? He was like, well, if that happened, that happened. I was like, so I realized too that maybe some of these young dudes is not really they elevated them, go to the top floor too. And then when you start talking to them, like they'll tell you they be on syrup, perks, drinking, smoking, all at the same time. And I'd be like wondering, like, yo, how you are even alive, let alone like, so the fact that a lot of time when you take that much chemicals over duration, it got to have an alteration or alter your brain chemistry because we ain't nothing but chemistry to begin with. So when you like individually start talking to them, you see where they coming from, and you don't like you reserve judgment or you don't have no judgment at all. And what I try not to do, I try not to pity them neither because they don't need your pity at all.
Hey, so we got a question for ourselves, G. L.W. Bryant wants to know, God, was it hard to get into helping the youth after coming home?
Technically, a lot of these organizations be wanting people that's formerly incarcerated, especially in this field. They call us credible messengers. So they know that our understanding is going to be different than a room full of people that's never been incarcerated and all they got is theory. So they welcome us, but the difference, I like that, like I heard I was on a panel with a brother called Dr. Kai Smith. He run an organization called Graphics, and we was talking about what could be considered a credible messenger. And I saw it the way he saw it, because he was saying just because you went to prison and that really doesn't make you a credible messenger. It's like, what does your transformation look like out here in society? That makes you a credible messenger. You got the lived experience, but as well as you transform your life to where you're not even looking at going back to prison, or you don't even have those same thought patterns. So, and I concur to what his version of a credible messenger is. But to the fella question, they want people like us.
Right. Working with the credible messengers, with Clint Lacey, Latin King Tone, and some of these other individuals who are bringing the idea of credible messages to every state for the juvenile facilities that they're working with. And it's a good thing because you're giving these kids experiences and understanding of what they're looking at. You're taking a walk in their mind, and you're painting a picture for them that they have yet to see. And I salute all the credible messengers that are doing that work, because, like I said, I work with some of them. I see a lot of them come in the facility. A lot of them take their time out and speak to the youth. They help them with their cases, get their discoveries, you know what I'm saying, and even teach them how to fight their case. Because everybody isn't sentenced just because you're inside of a facility.
That's a fact.
And but again, when working with the youth and coming from the same neighborhood, and you see these kids and understand like the recidivism, and you're trying to fight the recidivism, how much is the environment inside the home as well as outside the home that plays a part of the recidivism part?
When you look at a lot of these young men, or young teenagers, they only have women in their house. A woman can't raise a man to be a man, and I don't really care what women think on that point. It's just the truth. So they go outside. You know what I mean? They outside. So by being outside and associating with the same group of people doing the same thing in the same location, because a lot of these, like, I have a 2-part job. Another part is when they come home, I set them up with one of our reentry partners. So when I'm doing that, the ones and I ask them, because you got to know, are you affiliated? Which I already know damn well you is, right? So and they be like, you know, sometimes they'll say yes, sometimes they say no. I look at them like, come on, don't play with me, right? And then I ask them, can you travel? Because this is the organization I want to set you with based off what you told me and based off of the level of programming that they have. They be like, I can't travel here. I can't do this. I don't get on the train. I'm like, so you stuck in your little neighborhood? I didn't know that, because I'm like, when I was young, we'll go everywhere. Right. We'll hop the train, hop the bus. We'll be everywhere. So I can't phantom that you in New York and you like, you basically, you confined, you in jail outside in the free world. And I'm like, you don't think there's something wrong with that? You know, that goes into a whole nother conversation. So a lot of time the recidivism with them, because they can't go nowhere. So they're around the same people doing the same thing, they're gonna get the same results. And you know, understanding come in time. Right. And me, I'm a big proponent of letting people make their own mistakes and learning from them. Like, you know, like people like, well, you gotta help. No. People gotta make mistakes. But this what you gotta tell a person. All mistakes you can't get back from. Some mistakes might send you to the grave, and other mistakes might send you to the penitentiary for a long time, and you're gonna come out like a mature man if you come out at all. Right. So that's what it is. And then hopefully the mistakes that you're making, you can bounce back from. But that ain't always going to be the case. But I'm a proponent of letting you make your mistakes, because sometimes, you know, everybody can't learn from other people. They got to go through it themselves. Right. And so you want to go through hell? Who is me to stop you? You're going to do it anyway. But I'm going to tell you what you're going to face when at the other end of it.
Mm-hmm. Peace, God. What has been the turnaround point for you as far as the reaching the youth? Has it grown since you came back home and your development? Do you see that your program is working very well with the black, particularly our young youth, especially the men? And while you answer that question, I just got a text again, so I'm going to put up your information so our viewers can see it as we building. So you got it right there.
So I think that the youth that I really reach, like the most thorough ones, those are the ones I reach. The ones that I don't reach, they be like clowns. So it's like, you know, they act like they still got something to prove. But the ones that's like really thorough, you can tell they start really thinking. They start being introspective. Those are the ones I can reach. So those are the ones that I try to identify, because when I go in there and do workshops, if I got those in line of how I'm demonstrating, the other ones is going to fall right in line, because they respect this one because he live. That's what I noticed. But if there's no live one around them, then it's like it's monkey see, monkey do. Like, you know, it's like it take me when I first started going in there, right? One hall I went on, I heard a young dude say, "Yo, we ain't trying to listen to this goofy," and I'm laughing. I'm like, they don't even know who they dealing with. You right. I don't. Like I said, I dress how I dress, I move how I move. So when I go in there, so I sat down at the table with them. They playing spades. They said, "You play spades?" I said, "Yeah, I play spades." But I said, "You got to take the jokers out the deck, because I don't play those type of spades." They're like, "Oh, you don't know how to play no spades?" I said, "I definitely do." So then one dude got little out of control. Another dude. So I'm like, damn, man, I just started working here and I'm about to lose my job. because I'm like, I'm going to knock this one out off top. Like, I'm not like, you know, I ain't playing with you because me, I'm a proponent of you have the right to defend yourself when attacked. Like, I'm not nonviolent at all. You know what I mean? I believe in violence when it's necessary. To protect yourself, I think is always necessary. So then one I see on my peripheral, one spin behind me. I don't never get up. I'm still sitting down. I'm like, yo, I'm loud. I'm like, oh man, I ain't even been here. I didn't even been at this job 2 weeks. I'm gonna have to beat these young dudes up, yo. So it's like, yo, and I'm keeping my composure.
Right.
I see the program counselor, he looking nervous, but I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, these is children. I could be their father. What I look like being afraid of my child?
Right.
So boom, so they all left the table, but it was two that was behind them that they sat down. So when they sat down, what I came in there to actually talk to them about, I was like, yo, I pushed my stuff aside. I said, yo, I'm just gonna give it up to y'all real. Then when I started like building with them, the other dudes heard the way that I was speaking. They were like, oh, you've been locked up before? I was like, yeah, but what does that matter? And he's like, I knew. I said, see, the thing is, you're supposed to respect the person that's coming, regardless to whom or what, because they come in here and giving you their time. Not respect the person because you think that they've been to prison. Like, prison don't give nobody no badge of honor. You should be insulted to have been in prison. Should be embarrassed. Like, you know, so while I get back to talking to the other two, one of the other ones sat back down. I'm like, what's your name? He told me his name, something blickety. I said, oh, you a shooter, huh? So he looked like, yeah, what, you think I don't know what's going on? Like, I'll be laughing. But after that, how I conducted myself, you know, when I see some of them, the same young dudes now, they see me, they give me dap, they give me hug and stuff like that, like, because they don't understand, yo, I'm just a older version, a mature version, a sanitized version of you. That's it, you know. And I know I've been where you ain't been yet. Hopefully you don't go there.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, and they don't understand that. Like, you know, you tell them like, yo, I did 19 and a half years in prison. 14 of them I did on maximum security. So it's like, so the things I saw, you might not never see, because most of them is not going upstate. They going to I think it's OCFS or OFCS, something like that.
Yeah,
so it's
OFCS.
like, yeah, so they not going to Atticus and the Sing Sings and all those spots. So they'll never see what I saw. And that's the thing about it. So it's like, so when they get irate and act out of control and act foolish, I allow them to, long as you act up in your own space. You know what I mean? So, you know, because some of them, like, you know, they have attacked staff there. They have attacked staff. So, and I'm like, so I'm not staff. So that's just the bottom line. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't like to hurt one of them, but I'd be damned if I let anybody hurt me. Like, that's not, you know, that's just reality. I'm a different type of human. Period.
I tell you, like, a youth on staff assault is very high in juvenile facilities. Because for one, you're dealing with a CPS report, you're dealing with social services. Do you feel that juvenile facilities should be taken away from being under the umbrella of social services and put under the umbrella of corrections, where your hands are a little more freer, where you can address the youth in the same fashion that they address, you know, saying that they're coming to you, or should they keep it in the social service field and try to make it a therapeutic situation more than anything else?
I don't think they should have. I think it should be a whole new department with a combination of both of them, with a combination of correction and a combination of the social service field. You know, when it was all correction, we already know what happened. Now we
Right.
seeing what's going on that is under social service.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the best would be a combination, because they are unruly. They are unruly, and they know that the YDSs, that's the youth development
Specialist. Yeah.
specialists that work with them, they can't do but too much. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So, and I'm like, you know, when I hear stories, oh, I go in there, oh, somebody got their ribs broke. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Because another thing that they not, like, you know, they're not really charging them youth with those what they do. So that's, you know, I don't know why. I don't know if they should or they shouldn't. But I know that it's a paper up saying if you do A, B, and C,
Mm-hmm.
you will be rearrested.
Right.
The fact that that's not readily happening, they know it's no repercussions, and then it's no hold. So you can't even put somebody on segregation because there's no hold.
Right.
So it's like, so if it's no repercussions for their actions, how do a person develop and start transforming when they thinking, well, I can do whatever I need to do because there's no accountability from on their own part? You know, so it's like, it's a dilemma. But I don't think that, I think a new organization, a new department should have been developed for these young people that had the best of both corrections and social service.
Right.
Peace, God. Of course. One question, and it goes for the in and out. So it's a double answer. To educate one on information, let's say if one is coming out of the system, what should they be doing prior to coming out as far as education wise to prepare themselves for retransition, and vice versa? What would you say to youths that may have to go in or that don't have to go in to stop them from committing something wrong that they're going to have to find out the hard way for themselves one day, as far as the education mind? What education recommendations is more properly my question.
So let's deal with the first one first. I think that from an educational standpoint, I think that self-education when you inside is the best. Me, I was a book addict. So, you know, and I know that those books allowed me the freedom to get past my prison bed, because I couldn't program because of my time. Like, I could, the good trades, I couldn't get in because they kept putting me on a long-term waiting list.
Indeed.
So I can't expect them. So I had to educate myself. So I educated myself on things that I felt like I needed, from history to the import-export business to socially, politically. So like, educating yourself is, you can design your own curriculum. And I think that, and if you are capable of, if they are capable of getting a trade, I always tell them, get the electrician trade, because all the brothers I know that got the electrician trade and came home and now got their licenses, they all doing great. All of them. Like, you know what I mean? So I've seen, that's like the only trade that I can say that I've seen brothers take that is practical for out here.
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody that's like maybe to avoid, I say, yo, expand your thinking. Like, one, you know, when we was coming up, man, it wasn't nothing to see somebody on top of the green garbage can reading a book, reading the newspaper. You go in their house, they got books like the 5 Black Presidents and all that, but they ain't go to school at all. At all. You know, so I think that now it's like, it seemed like it's a premium on being dumb. You know, and I can't understand, like, where did that mentality come from? Does it come because they do all these different drugs at one time? But I also saw it in the prison. I saw the descending nature of people with knowledge and thinking, and it was crazy because I'm like, one time you could go to anybody's cell and get a book to read. The more time I did, I started seeing the reverse. If it wasn't music, people will spend mad money on CDs, but only a few people were still buying books. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, I was trying to figure out, like, yo, what changed in society, you know? And I'm thinking when I came up, I remember, you know, listening to KRS. One of his favorite songs is "You Must Learn," like, you know, certain music, things of that nature. So I'm like, yo, like, two things I noticed that I knew that society was changing. Cats was getting dumber, and a lot of young dudes was coming in and they was on some homosexual type time.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, what's going on? 'Cause, you know, when I I got locked up in '95. That wasn't happening. Now,
Right.
you know what I mean? Now, inside, you might have people that they deal with that current, but you didn't have young dudes coming straight off the street that was indulging in that, you know? And I'll be like, that's what I saw. Like, you know, I saw a difference. So it's kind of hard for out here to say what young dudes need to do, especially if they're not into reading. Like, you know, they just into chilling, listening to music, gang banging. That's it. The ones that's not into that, they already going to school. They already doing what they doing. So you ain't got to worry about those youth. But the ones that's not, they just not. Yo, I told it's a premium on being dumb. Like if you the dumbest person, you the leader. That's how it appears to me.
Yeah.
That's peace right there. Absolutely.
That's true that the dynamics of knowledge have definitely changed. And you know, as 5%ers, we say, you know, we got a hard job out here with trying to reverse that polarity. How do you feel like we spoke about the cognitive issues that the babies have because the brain isn't developing fully until it's 25 years old. So with all the drugs and synthetic drugs that they are intaking, for as you know, like you said, the X pills, the Mollies, the K2s, the syrups, the Percocets, and then some are even doing heroin, that are dumbing them down even more, and they were born with cognitive issues from the very beginning, and they're battling the medication that's given to them for the ADHD and different things. So when they're inside the facility, how do you see that their transition when you're speaking to them as a credible messenger, right? You see the drugs in them. You see that the dependency of the drugs.
Well, it's like I said, it's like you throw a net out there, you can only catch who you going to catch. You know what I mean? And it goes back to what I said. And sometimes the ones that you catch be the ones that be the most thorough ones. Like really, they like really solid. And the other ones, you know, they don't want to do nothing. Like if they got access to the radio, they're gonna just bang their drill music. If they got access to the TV, they're gonna put drill videos on. So they don't care about, they caught up. And then the fact is, because a lot of I can't speak on no other drill in other cities, but in New York, a lot of the drill cats are they peers, like literally they peers, and they know these people. So it's like, so they figure like, yo, I can stay in my lane because I'm gonna go, and everybody want to be a rapper. I never saw that before in my life. So they feel like if they do get out, they gonna go out there, you know, because you don't really need no skills being no drill rapper. Like, you know, they skills is like mediocre. Whatever's below mediocre, that's their skill set.
Right.
They come to MCing. So they figure like, yo, so they stay in that lane. They don't even think about developing themselves. They don't even see that. Like, you know, they already know like, yo, I'm about this. This is what I'm about, and that's that. And I'm like, you know, so I watch them deteriorate. If that's actually, you know, can be applied to a human. So, you know, I'm watching them deteriorate, and I'm just looking at them like, damn. When I go, I see the same ones do the same thing. I'm like, damn, y'all not tired of this? Like, you know, and that's what they into, man. And it's just like I said, so I recognize that, you know, they understand they're gonna come in time or it ain't gonna never gonna come.
Right. How do you feel about the individuals having more mental health issues nowadays than far as streets being in the streets and getting incarcerated? And the reason why they're being incarcerated is because of the mental health issues or the lack of resources that's addressing their mental health issues.
I think that when it comes to the mental health aspect, I see it as being real, real big. But you know, us as Black people, shit, people just started going to the doctor. So getting people to recognize the mental health aspect that people are dealing with, it's a gap there, and we're not nowhere near it of closing it yet. And that's unfortunate. Like that's really unfortunate. Like I don't even know if they get mental health screenings or anything. And I don't even know if they did. Will they tell a person the truth? That I think that we need mental health providers that look like us.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And I'm saying that from because I went to therapy, and I had a sister, and it's crazy because she was from Bushwick, and we went to the same middle school, but not at the same time because I was older than her. So it's like it's a comfortability to go with somebody where I don't have to tell you everything in my background because you know as well too. Because you got brothers, you got cousins, you know the environment that I come from.
Right.
So, and I think that when they in those facilities, I'm not going to say it's no original psychiatrist or sociologist. I just haven't seen any.
Well, you know what, pardon to add on to that, I feel like that goes within the 1 to 36 because we were taught to eat the wrong food. You know what I mean? And when we doing it, that we talking about what we read, what we hear, what we see, even what we feel and touch. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the five senses, because a lot of the mental illnesses that we have is something is in the poisons in the foods we eat, in the drinks that we drink. If we don't read the labels to do the knowledge, wisdom, understanding to what's being put in, then the effects is going to affect us because we don't have the know-how to combat it. And sometimes it's passed in the generational gene that we don't realize because we're not being taught the right way of understanding it. So that was a great question right there, Josh Mel. I just wanted to add on to that, God, because I think it's very important to our listeners to pay very close attention to this, because a lot of people, first thing we want to do when we have the lack of knowledge is take what somebody else says on face value and make it our history when it's not. We make that sound gospel because we don't have the intelligence to go back and research for ourselves when the information is here, or we don't have the right people to teach and explain how it affects us as a people as opposed to others. So we can take the proper precaution and measurements to make sure that it doesn't fall short on our child. It doesn't fall short on our brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? And that's, I had to interject that because that right there was key information, G.
That's peace. Now, how do you see, again, like with the youth being, their brains are not fully developed, how easy is it for them to become institutionalized?
I can't really say that they institutionalized because they actually still move in the same way they move when they was outside of the institution. It's just the fact that ain't no women in there, and I'm pretty sure they can get a hold to the other stuff that you already know. So, but I don't see them as institutionalized because they ain't following no rules. So they definitely not institutionalized. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? They are wild. You know what I mean? Like they like them wild stallions that you're not gonna break them. Like that's one thing I like about them. You're not gonna break them. So it's like, how do we harness that energy and direct that energy to where it's supposed to go? But because they ain't gonna be institutionalized. That ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? That ain't gonna happen.
But Lord, it's crazy how an hour go by that quick. Like when you add on certain subjects, we got to, if you can, want to reschedule to come back and do a part 2 on this, because we didn't really get into your books, your events, things of that nature that you'll be speaking at. And if you would, we'll get together behind scenes and see if we can reschedule to come back, because it was a pleasure to have you on.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it was a show that's needed for our community to be addressed, because we all have family members that are incarcerated and needing help when they come home for reentry and things of that nature. And we applaud the things that you do with the youth, being a credible messenger, being a facilitator, you know what I'm saying, of information, being a blueprint of, you know what I'm saying, what they can aspire to be or aspire to be better than. And like I said, I applaud you and I appreciate you coming on, Lord. But at this moment, can you just give people how can they get in contact with Mallah Divine? How can they get your books? And where your next events will be at?
My books, you can get them. They all on Amazon. You can contact me through either my webpage or just reach out to me on my email, mallahddiv@gmail.com. My webpage is Mallah. Everything is my name. Put it like that. Everything. You Google my name, everything is going to pop up. Now, as far as events, like, Corona just lifted. Mm-hmm. So I ain't speaking nowhere currently because, I got to do some research myself now. That's where I'm currently at because, we couldn't really, what all the lockdown procedures and stuff like that. Yes. So the fact that things are just starting to open back up, I got to see, what the landscape look like.
Okay. Like I said, Lord, man, we appreciate you coming on. And if you can just hang out maybe 5 minutes on after the show is over, so we can get the information, some more information from you. And Kay, this show was impactful, Lord, and it's crazy how it always have to end when it start getting better and better, because our shows are like baseball games, man. You know what I'm saying? And when the ninth inning come, man, you want to go extra innings, but Kay is, it's our time, and like I said, I want to say peace to Allah's 5% Nation of Gods and Nerves. I want to say peace to my righteous brother Mallah Divine for coming on. And Kay, take us up out of here, Lord.
God. Well, peace and blessings. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in, and peace to Krista Ellison, Knowledge Born Allah. Was that
Born Professor?
Born Professor, true indeed. Yeah. Everybody that chimed in today gave nothing but positive attributes and accolades to this show. And before we get out of here, I just want everybody to know, take heed. Listen, do the knowledge of what you heard and take it home and apply it to your seeds. Use this message and platform. If you ain't got words to use it for, use it from the gods, as you just heard it straight from the God Mallah. And again, high salute to you, God. We love you. You got a home right here, Real to Real 360. And on behalf of myself and my co-host, Joshua Allah, the Real to Real 360, we want to say peace. There you go, Born Professor. Peace, God. Absolutely. We love y'all. We truly love y'all. Continue to support us. Hit us up. Hit us up on realtoreal360@gmail.com. Don't forget that Cash App. We had several donations so far. We want to thank each and everybody that has donated. And if I'm remiss to miss your name now, definitely I'll get it back at the next segment, because we don't want to leave anybody out and unnoticed. I believe in sharing that love, because it's what we give, it's what you give in return for us to keep doing what we're doing and making Allah's world manifest right here. So this is the Real to Real 360. I am DJ K Wise, Joshua Allah, Mallah, peace, and we'll see you when we see you. We gonna click back and clap back, y'all. Just hold on.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to come to the end of the show. Right now, I want to take the time out and thank our guests for coming on. Also, too, I want to make sure that y'all listening and subscribing, and tell a friend and keep sharing, because we're going to keep bringing y'all the real content. You know what I mean? So, DJ KY, brother, take us up out of here, son. Hey. I want to give a big shout out to the Nation of God's Nerves, to all the human families on the planet Earth. I say peace.
To our subscribers, those who continue to watch and listen to the show each and every time we come on, I give a big shout out of love, peace, and happiness.
To be the man, woman, and child of the you and I first. It's time for us to disperse. We bring the best, not the worst. We thank you once again for tuning in to the real 360. Bring a friend to hit that like and subscribe so we continue to grow to bring more knowledge and wisdom to you. Upon our show, you make it possible for us to do what we do. Now it's time I end it just the way I bring it.